Kutakuwa na activities kali kushinda mwaka hii. And that's what we are planning to do. I want to be very brief. Ili nipeane nafasi kwa general secretaries to make various comments. Alafu executive board peke yake, the last one we had was on 24th November 2023, that's last year, wakati tulipokuwa tuna organize mambo ya ITUC. ITUC regional meeting was the most successful meeting. I want to congratulate my sister Rosa Mamo, who was elected as one of the vice presidents of the International Labour Organization African Region. And also we had an opportunity to fill vacant positions. So this is now another meeting where all of us, members of the executive board, together with our affiliates, general secretaries, we have again met. Na purpose ya kukutana leo is very simple. Vile Sister Kara alisema, today's theme ni ya kwamba promoting active participation and involvement of the youth in trade union movement activities. Nataka kuambia tungelikuwa sisi youth walipata ya kwamba we were ahead of them Gen Zs. We were ahead of Gen Zs because during on 1st of May, during the International Labour Day, in my speech I had requested the President and his government to order 10% employment in all his ministries and parastatals of the young people. Now I tell you order because I referred him to what President Kenyatta did in 1972. Even my chairman, Reverend Joel Kandieche was employed as a result of the order of President Jomo Kenyatta. That is when he got his job. He was among the 10% people who were employed at Raymond. Yeah? In Eldoret. And that is why he was elected at Atwoli Union, and he grew up to there. Today he is the president or the chairman general of the Central Organization of Trade Unions. So 10%, sisi tulikuwa tumeanza kupigania Gen Z zamani. And some of the things Gen Zs were asking, they were right. Look, for example, one was the mambo ya corruption. We have been fighting corruption as trade union here. I'm happy the president has accepted him to take it serious. Had him in his speech. I've been talking about corruption. Any country that is corrupt cannot go further. Sisi na Reverend Juice tulikuwa kule Algeria. Tumekuwa Egypt. Ukienda Egypt hakuna mambo ya corruption. Algeria hakuna corruption. Those people have developed. There is a city coming up in Algeria. We went there with the Reverend. Ambayo itakuwa kali hata kushinda Dubai. And the same thing happening in Cairo. Cairo, they have 4 new cities. And 70 express highways. Reverend aliona. 8 lane, everyone. We magari naenda 8 lane, who coming 8 lane. Walivunja estates kama islands. And do you know what they are using? They are using Gen Zs. Gen Zs are employed after university, wale graduates, wamefanya engineering, they are employed in the armed forces, army, engineers. These are the people who are assigned to build roads. Hakuna Jiangxi ya China, hakuna Exim Bank ya China kuleta pesa. Their own young men and women from their universities employed by the armed forces. And they have done marvelous. They have now set up, they have moved from their old offices, all government ministries. In Cairo, they have been given a space, a place, new buildings everywhere for the ministries of government. And our embassy in Cairo has been given a plot to build near or next to other government ministries, kujenga ofisi zetu. And I advised the ambassador that wakisha jenga aweke residence yake huko juu, so that he doesn't pay for house rent and something like that. Amalisa chini inakuwa offices, juu inakuwa residence yake ambassador. So this is what we can do here, and that is where we came together with Gen Zs. The other thing the Gen Zs were talking about is to look into our constitution. You remember 2017, during May Day, when I said we must relook at our constitution, because Uhuru is going to retire when he is still young, na atapatia ile president atakokuwako tabu. It has come to pass. We must look at our constitution to do a president akiretire. What should he do and what should he not do? Because anaretire na pesa mingi na marafiki kwa serikali. And even President William Ruto is going to retire a young man. So we must revisit the constitution in 3 areas that is very wanting. One is in an area of the retiring president. The other one is the duties and responsibilities and appointment of the vice president. Hii ya kuchaguliwa pamoja na vice president hapana mzuri, because vice president feels as if he's also a president. We must rethink either he's appointed by the sitting president so that his loyalty is 100% to that president. That will bring peace if you people want stability. The other area is of counties. Gen Zs, they have talked about counties. Counties don't have money. Na ni nyingi. And we are not in manufacturing industry. To manage counties, wanachukua more than 3/4 of government's revenue. Counties. So we can look into ways of bringing these counties together. The way agencies are suggesting. For example, at my place they suggested we in Kakamega and Vihiga, we should be one county. The way we used to be one district. Even Kisumu here with the Siaya can be still one county. And so many others can be brought together to make sure that the resources are properly managed and we have enough resources to do that. Those are the things Gen Zs were asking. No, not new things. And are things that we can implement, are things that we can look at. And I'm happy the president took note of that and the government is prepared to look into those things. But we in the labor movement, we support some of the proposals that have been made by Gen Zs. That is our meeting. That is why I want also to take this opportunity to thank the ILO, the International Labour Organization, which funded for this our meeting when we requested. And we had requested even before Gen Zs that we need to see how we can impress upon the young men to join labor movement and to leadership. Kotu, we have been training Gen Zs. Wengine tuna train, they don't work for trade union, wanaondoka. Yeah? And I know you have been doing that. And unions also. You have been training young people. Ukienda kwa union yetu ya KUJ, all people who are there are young people. Kenya Union of Journalists. That is where also, and most of you saw Eric is here. Eric was part of Gen Zs. He was on the streets of Nairobi. You couldn't recognize or realize he's a general secretary of a union. Because he belongs to Gen Zs. The thinking is the same. So we are part of that particular group. But you see, blending is also good. The old and the young, we come together to make sure that we propel our country into the right direction. So those are some of the things ambazo tumesema we need to bring young people closer to us. The other area which is wanting in labor movement and in the world of work today is an issue of smart working. Smart working is working with smart gadgets. Smart gadgets are smart telephones, smart iPads, smart computers, smart TVs, and smart communication systems. And this requires information technology. And how do we become part and parcel of information technology with the rapid changing in the world of e-commerce, in the world of digital economy, or in the world of platform economy, where people, most of our workers, will be called upon to work from wherever they are? How do we set up standards of making sure they pay or they contribute to statutory deductions, they pay trade union dues, and they are also protected? How do we do that? How do we reach there? And also the participation. How do we also become part and parcel of global electronic economy or commerce? This requires extensive training in information technology. It requires extensive thinking, extensive and strategic thinking in employing, making sure that around us we have young men and young women of this generation who are part of Gen Zs, taking part effectively and fully supported by us in the world of information technology. So those are the things ambayo ILO is supporting us for, to make sure in every union, and I'm asking my colleagues, let every union, we have asked government to employ 10%, let us try to employ about 5% of the Gen Zs in our trade union movement. So that as we prepare to exit, we have people who are conversant with, in an area, very important area of collective bargaining, disputes and grievances handling, and also trade union management and effective representation of working men and women as far as renewing their terms and conditions of service is concerned. We can't just say we are going home, we are trying, if we didn't train very well. Most of your unions, I know they are doing that. Plantation, we are doing that. And we need to support the Gen Zs practically so that the headache is not only on government, it's on us also as well. Wakati walipokuwa wamesema they will occupy Kotu, but when they went to the details, quietly wakapata we were ahead of them in supporting them, in preparing them, in championing for their aspirations in our own thinking. So you can see, as people say, ukienda kwa mtandao wanasema Atwoli anataka retire, we were ahead of Gen Zs by saying let government employ 10% of them. We are thinking of them. Because if we can't rapidly expand employment in this country, there will be no trade unions. We represent the employed. We speak for the employed. Though sometimes we speak for the unemployed. But 3/4 of those who pay us are those who are employed in different cadres and different parts and different world of work, different industries and so on. So we must seriously think of promoting active participation and involvement of the young men and women in trade union movement. That is what we will be discussing here today. I want to thank ILO for that support. We are going to have a lot of conversation with the young people. We are going to engage them in various unions in Kakamega, Kisumu, Busia. In all of our counties, we are going to make sure that we have an activity for the young people to propel them, also to make them understand that it is also not only through demonstrations that they can achieve what they want. They can also prepare themselves for an onslaught during elections to make sure they have their representatives that can effectively represent them in both parliament and outside parliament. It's only that we delayed. Also, the parliament was not proactive the way all MPs were, because the Gen Zs penetrated our parliament in 2013 elections. People who are in parliament, they are not of my age, they are all young people. What they need to do is to sell their parliament to Kenyans. Some of them, we don't know most of our MPs the way we used to know our MPs. They should be proactive selling themselves outside, because most of them are young people whom we know very well. So we are going to have serious conversation with the young people, taking into account that about 7% of the total workforce in the world over young people. And we cannot shy away from engaging them. And about out of this 70%, there are 60% shop stewards. We train them either here at Mboya Labor College, or we have our study circle programs which goes on trying to educate the young people in our country. And the youth should know that we support them. Whenever they have their meetings, nobody should cheat them. Envious people will tell them, let us go and occupy court. Court is part of the organization. We are a pressure group. We are not just a normal civil society, but a pressure group which has been pressurizing for their rights since our formation in 1965 and before, even during those days of the late Tom Mboya, when we had the Kenya Federation of Labor, and he was Shenzi. That time Tom Mboya started a labor movement with the people like the late Ochoada, we have so many people who were there at that time. I can remember the late Chologai Makanyengo, people who were very active. Martin Shukuk was part of them. James Karebe was there, his brother Kioni, in teaching profession. Vicky Washira was part of the young labor leaders those old days. And so on, and so many of them you can name and name. People who we still have, Mzee Macharia, still living. Fred Omilo was in Tanzania, championing the aspirations of Tanzanian workers, till he was booted out of Tanzania because when they realized he was a Kenyan and he was going to be elected the first president of Tanzania, they decided to chase him away, to go back to pave away by Mwalimu Julius Nyerere. Those are the people who started during those early days, joined by people like the late Chege of Transport Union. We had so many of them, those people who are young, during those days when we had trade union activists who were also Gen Zs during those days. So we need to make sure we embrace upon the young people to be with us. And it was not only in Kenya where we had young, militant labor leaders. Kenya, we had people like Clement Lubembe also, people like Tom Mboya. Uganda, we had Humphrey Luande of Uganda, very militant, and John Titig of Ghana, and then those were the people that, like Ramaphosa of South Africa, the current president, emulated them. We had Ahmed Tilili of Tunisia, people who fought tirelessly to make sure the Africa had total independence of Africa. People who did. We had Mohammed Hassan also of Algeria, who fought alongside with Ben Bella, the first president of Algeria, those days for their independence on the continent of Africa. And people teamed up. And their headquarters was in Cairo, where we were represented by Ngunyi, who was the propagandist for independence of Africa in Swahili program of the African agitation radio, Swahili radio in Cairo. So we are together. We must make sure that whatever we do, but we should not do it with the purpose of burning our country. We want to support our government to make sure that it implements some of the proposals that came from Gen Zs, and it also asserts pressure to make sure that genuineness is done, honesty, and ministers that are appointed, Kenyans can reach out on them. Most of them, they don't pick telephones, and they leave the president propagating for issues that is concerning Kenyans without assisting the president. And we would ask the president, those arrogant ministers who don't pick telephones from Wananchi after 3 months or 6 months, they should be booted out. Kenya has almost 60 million population with most educated people who can help the president, not those people with a lot of egoism, and people, once they have been appointed, they think they are everything. We will work closely with the president to make sure that cabinet ministers, members of parliament are responsive to electorates, not bullying around the electorates and creating agitation from the young people in the Republic of Kenya. If they are answering telephones, if they are talking to young people, if they are holding meetings with Kenyans, if they are talking, we wouldn't have had what happened recently, or what prompted the young men, young Kenyans to rise up and demand their rightful position in the Republic of Kenya. So that is where we are, and I want to thank all of you for having made sure that you are here. But our plea, and I still repeat, is mainly on the young people. Let us also prepare our legacy. Let us also prepare our exit, that as we plan to exit in labor movement, what type of people are we leaving behind? We need to teach our young men and women the agitation, the pressurizing on issues, and to make sure that we remain relevant, particularly in an area of agitation. That is our background. Militancy is our background. Strikes, that is our background, and we must not shy away from that. We fought hard to make sure that we are reflected in the current constitution, to provide freedom for you people to rightfully fight for those who elected you. Don't relent. Continue doing that. When I see you on the press talking about workers, agitating issues that concerns working people in this Republic of Kenya, I feel happy. I do it for you here. I do it for East Africans. I do it for Africa, and I do it tirelessly. And I will continue doing that, fighting for the very best Kenyans. And we must continue doing that. And that is our background. Thank you all. I thank you for coming. And I still appeal that let us take this issue of our youth seriously. May God bless you. After this, we have an item where we will report back on what you saw as you are going round, where you want us to correct, and how you want us to go it ahead. I know officially the Secretariat captured the maintenance and renovation of this college at 800 million, which is true, of course, because I did mention the amount that plantation has so far used at Kotu, but there are people who have done immense job, like Brother Njeru and others who have assisted coming here with their own tickets. Varasa is always here. Sometimes we don't pay for them. We tell them go out to Mutembei College to see what is happening. They use their money and so on. And also, there are things that we support, like casualization, and people have employed here to do casual job, particularly in an area of renovation. Those are temporary jobs. We make sure they are paid on time. They are here. No more. This behind there, he's in charge of all these people, will tell you that we pay them weekly without failing to make sure that they remain on this college until we complete total renovation of this college. I thank you all for your support. I thank you for the position you have taken. I thank Sister Rebecca. I can't see her here. She has cooperated very well. And I thank my members in the Secretariat and your total support. You know, sometimes when you support me and young people say, oh, Atwoli, you need to retire, you have been around for a long time. And I look behind and I see your support. And I say, let me remain around for some time because of that total support. It's because of that support which makes me continue. I would have gone a long time ago, because I might not be the same Atwoli who joined the labor movement on 3rd of September in 1967. May God bless you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Will I have something to say just the way that you is representing the entire world. You know, he's not only talking about Odu, he's not talking about Africa, he's not talking about, he's talking about the world.
Kwanza, nataka kuwashukuru ile delegation tumekuwa nayo juzi mwezi wa 6 kule Geneva. Kama hapa bebe mkono tu kidogo. I want to thank you very much. Because hata watu kuona nyinyi nyuma yangu, kila bahari wanapita wanaona wa Kenya, made me also got a lot of votes. I was number 1 out of 178 countries represented in Geneva. On the spot of being re-elected as a member of the ILO governing body, I led as number 1. Even my chairman of the governing body was number 9 down there. And I want to thank you very much for your presence in Geneva and with the support you have given me. Since 2008, I've been being re-elected after every 3 years. I pleaded, I said now, as I get on getting more and more years and getting old, maybe, I was talking to my colleagues in the secretariat and so, that maybe, ukishafuja record namna hii, na umepata hii na unataka ubaki kwa history, this should be my last time at the International Labour Organization. 2027 tukiweza kurudisha the Director General who is an African that I fought for. He's always referred to as Atwoli's Director General because I took an onslaught on the globe to make sure that since 1919 at the International Labour Organization we have an African as a Director General and he's there. He will be being re-elected for his second term in 2027. If he gets his 22nd term, of which I will be a vote, of course, as a member of the ILO governing body, and then I think I will not seek or receive for another election in the year in 2027. We will now maybe surrender that position to our sister African countries who have given us a lot of support since 2008. And I'm glad Kenya has done so well. We have been always on that, on top there. If you persist, then the other day you can just be re-elected, but down there, you are at the last there, and you spoil the good record that needs to remain in the annals and history, global history of labor movement. And that when it comes time, when the time comes that we can remain as participants of the International Labour Organization, but we can now seek for the re-election in that particular position. So that's our history. It can, like a European called Bill Brett, he's the late now. He is the one whom I've broken his record, who was being elected. He's either number 1 or number 2. And he's the one that the world has been referring to. I want to remain to be being referred to by the world. And if I persist that I continue being re-elected, I will erase my good history and my good memory. So I want to thank you very much for you people who have time and again supported me, both locally and internationally.
Thank you so much, Clark, when it comes to giving it to Katibu. And since we are now in the era of Gen Zs, let's do the factorial way. So the factorial way is we are going to clap 5, and we start from 5, then we come 1, 2, 1. Thank you, Katibu.
And we cannot advise the president. We are not advisors of President William Samoei Ruto, and we cannot advise. We are not competent to advise even the opposition. I was in Azimio. And for the sake of these working men and women, I was the first person to decide and to accept that changes have been made, and changes must be accepted if they have been made. And for the benefit of tripartism arrangement, because we work with government employers and workers, we must join President William Samoei government. Because as we go to Geneva, that is under the Kenya government's delegation. Even Okwaro, where he is in Addis Ababa, is a tripartite meeting. is led by the Minister for Labor or somebody from Ministry of Labor. So we have got to work with the government because it presides over all our tripartite meetings. That is why we did. Some people thought I had nimewauza ama kitu kama hiyo, which is not true. We can't do that. And if the president, in his own rightful thinking, and the Honorable former Prime Minister, my brother-in-law Raila Odinga, they decided to make sure that some a party from Azimio, where I was, must contribute to the stability of the country. I was not privy to it, and I was not competent, and I'm not competent to say it was wrong. But what I want Kenyans to realize is this. This freedom that you see people being appointed from the opposition, it was not brought by any other person apart from Raila Odinga. People should know that. And there is no any day Raila will let Kenyans down. That's what I want you to understand. This is a man who suffered. The mother was buried when he's in jail. This is a man who had condemned to death because of politics. And not once. 3/4 of his life. His health is not as healthy as some people might think. It's because this man was confined in jails, in cells, and he had compatriots outside fighting along with him. People like Joseph Martin Shikuku, who died a poor person, fighting for freedom. People like James Orengo, when he started, when he was in the university. The Five Sisters, if you can remember, those days. People fought, died. George Anyona is no longer there. People who fought for this freedom, you people, you are enjoying. People died, literally. People like Bama Rees, who fought for this independence. People like the Muzenzenge, who fought for this freedom. So that you can be able to choose to get into government and nobody can say you can't work in government. This is the freedom we wanted. Kenya is ours now. You can be in the opposition and you go to government and you become a minister. It wasn't there. So those, people who are saying, Azimio, Raila let down people, where were they? Some of them, when I read their messages, they were academicians. They were earning from the university, agitating from anywhere else. They were enjoying with their wives. When Raila Odinga was under bars.
When he was castrated.
Yeah, when he was going under a lot of pressure and problems. So what we are trying to say is, let this country be the way it is. Give the president freedom to choose anybody he wants to be with, comfortable in the government, so long as there is stability in our country. Let's not condemn and say, Raila did a big mistake, did this and it is what he fought for.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
What these young men are doing now, it is what he has been doing. Even as recent as after these elections, he was on the streets. He has never abandoned Kenyans because of this country. And it is the time Kenya government should put him on high salary without working. Yeah. For the contribution he made. Yeah. Where were all these people? If you see anybody condemning them, ask these people, where were you? When he was being put in jails. It was not easy. His father suffered. At one time, they were all detained with his father together. For those people who have history of this country. My sister Ida was chased from government job because of her husband. Everybody, that family has suffered. Until late, for those people who know that Raila's son was going to be an MP for Kisumu. Fidel. Nobody can tell us how Fidel died. This man. Your son you love dying. And nobody explains to you somebody who was alive. He greeted me on that day. I met him. The boy, pale tunakula samaki huko Nairobi. And the following day I'm told the boy is dead. And the family doesn't talk. Who has undergone that? These other passengers who want to blame him, oh, you are doing this and that. Look at the qualities of people who have been appointed in government. Yeah? What I was pleading with the president, that some slots now should be for the youths. That's what I was saying. But for the opposition working in the government, there is nothing wrong. These people are competent. All of them, those people who are appointed. And that is the government we need. Not government with a fixed mind. The fixed mind to detour under new constitution. Yes. Freedom of choice is what this man suffered for. And now you can choose to work with Ruto, you can choose to work with whoever, Kalonzo Musyoka and so on. But you should not apportion a blame to anybody else. That's what it calls freedom of association, freedom of choice, freedom of choosing. Shenzi son.